My name is Erica Webb, and I'm the English teacher. And so we're going to go ahead and get started on today's lesson on theme. And I've noticed that a lot of students have a difficult time kind of finding what the theme is for a lesson. So there are a lot of lessons that ask you to find what the theme is, and many times when when I'm grading, I notice that students typically don't get it right. And so I'm usually always having to kind of go back and forth about what should be done when you're trying to find a theme. So I decided to do a lesson. I've actually done this lesson before, but it's one I did it maybe back in July. So it's been a while since I've done it. And I decided to do it again because I think it's just such an important lesson because I'm still seeing that a lot of students are not really picking it up. So if you have any questions at any time, you can feel free to unmute your call and ask the question, or you can send me a message in the chat box. And if you're not able to see something or something's not clear, just please let me know. I do have a couple videos in here, but I still can't get them to work with Zoom. And I'm not really sure. I'm sorry. My phone is crying and I'm trying to turn off the monitor. Okay. I'm not exactly sure why they don't play. So I'm going to kind of skip over those and keep trying to get them to play. So what is theme? So theme is the underlying message or the big main idea of a piece of work. It's what the author wants you to know, to walk away knowing or understanding once you finish reading something. Usually it's something that everyone can relate to regardless of the religion, culture, etc. So it's usually a basic thing that no matter who you are, no matter what your background is, no matter if you're male or female, whatever your religion or your race is, that most people can still kind of understand and figure out what the theme is. And the story can have more than one theme. So that's the other thing. A lot of times when it says, well, find the theme of the story, it could have 4 or 5 different themes. So it's not always just one. Okay. All right, so I'm gonna skip that one. So essentially the theme is what the author is saying or wants you to understand about his or her story. So it's really getting that understanding about what was the author trying to say. So what theme is not, and the reason why I did this slide was because a lot of times this is what I see students think that theme is, and so I like to kind of go over what it is not. Often people think theme is the subject of a piece, so they would just list one word for the theme, such as love, peace, hate, struggle, etc. So like for instance, I'll just use Romeo and Juliet since that's one of the readings in Graduation Alliance course. And it actually asks, like, what is the theme of Romeo and Juliet? And a lot of students will just say love or hate or peace. And that is not a theme. Those are actually examples of topics or subjects of the piece, not themes. Okay, and we're going to talk about that in a second a little bit more. So theme is not a subject. It's not a topic. Again, it's the underlying meaning or understanding that the author wants you to gain. So I put a picture of a brain here in the upper right-hand corner of the screen to really show that that you have to kind of get inside the author's mind. So I have to emphasize that because remember, you didn't write the piece, the author wrote it. So now if I ask you to find a theme, you really have to think about what the author wants you to know. So the author would never state the theme directly. They're not going to come out in the piece and say, okay, the theme is, that will never be stated directly. And you also have to sort of get inside the author's mind and think like him or her in order to be able to really understand what the theme is. I'm gonna skip that one. So any questions thus far in my chat? Let me try to pull up my chat box. Which for some reason it's not showing up. Oh, here it is. Right here, I see it. Okay, perfect. Okay. No, let me skip the slide. So let me go back somehow. Oh no, this is right. Okay. Okay, so we're gonna practice a little bit because it kind of gave you a little bit of a synopsis of what the theme is. That it's trying to pretty much figure out, get inside the author's mind and get an understanding of what their overall message is to you after you finish reading a piece. And typically you do have to finish reading the entire thing before you can really develop what the theme is, because you really can't figure out what the overall message is until you've actually completed the piece. So we're going to practice using a story that you're probably familiar with, and we're going to use Cinderella. So there's a picture here of Cinderella, the fairy tale story that most people know. I'm going to do a synopsis because the last time I did this lesson, I took for granted that everyone knew the story about Cinderella, and I actually had to give my own synopsis, which was probably not a very good one. So I decided this time that I'll make sure to include a slide that actually talks about just what Cinderella is. So if you already know the story of Cinderella, I apologize, but I'm going to read it anyway with the assumption that you don't know. Cinderella, the beautiful and kind-hearted daughter, sees her world turned upside down when her beloved mother dies. In her pain, father remarries another woman, the wicked lady Tremaine, who has two equally cruel daughters, the jealous Anastasia and Drizella. But once more, things will go from bad to worse when Cinderella's father, too, dies, leaving her all alone in the lady's clutches to serve as her maid of all work. Under those circumstances, a shabby and neglected Cinderella doesn't stand much of a chance of attending the king's royal ball, let alone captivate the handsome prince, unless she turns to her loving fairy godmother, who has quite a few tricks up her sleeve. Nevertheless, will the wronged damsel ever find peace? And with it, her own Prince Charming. So, and we do know, and maybe you don't know, so I'll kind of say that she does end up going to the King's Royal Ball. She does end up actually meeting her prince, and they live happily ever after. So it's almost like in the end, she won, and her jealous wicked stepsisters and mother and stepmother did not win in the end. Okay, so there we go. That's a little bit of a synopsis. So what we're going to do, we're going to practice writing a couple subjects of Cinderella. Now, you can use what we're getting ready to go over in anything that asks you for a theme. I promise you, I guarantee that this will work. So the subjects of Cinderella, let's write a few subjects first so we can eliminate these as themes. Remember, theme is not a subject. So when we talked about subjects, we talked about like just one words, okay? Love, hate. So if you could just list a few subjects, and I'm going to go back to my chat. You can actually chat them to me if you want. I just need, I'm sorry, I actually went back. Let me go back. And let me try to get my chat. There it is. Uh-oh, it went away. I don't know why my chat is so not working today. Okay, so I think it was Hasina. If you can still hear me.
Yeah.
Okay, so you can either just talk and tell me a couple subjects that you think, or you can put them in the chat box. But have you actually, are you familiar with Cinderella?
Yeah, I've watched it and I've read it a couple times.
Okay, perfect. So what do you think some subjects, like some one-word subjects of Cinderella could be? And I'll just start off with, I'll give you one like love, right? Because that's pretty much what the whole thing is about. Cinderella falling in love, meeting her Prince Charming. So that's one thing. Do you have another one?
What's popping in my head is just like a bunch of themes. It could be loneliness, but
okay, yeah, that's a good one. What else? That was a really good one.
I don't know if this has a word, but maybe, I don't know, not laziness, no.
Well, it could be because her stepsisters were very, very lazy because remember they like put all of their work on her.
Yeah,
so we could definitely use that one. Hate one, right? Because they definitely hated her. They didn't like her at all. So it's just a couple. Do you have any other? These are really good. This is actually enough to kind of take us through the lesson. But if you have another one in mind, I'll add it.
No, I don't have any.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so we have our subjects. Now here's a trick. Let me put it back on the slideshow so you can see it a little bigger. Here's a trick that is guaranteed to work. Okay, so now that one of the topics or subjects, we're going to take one of the topics or subjects, and write one sentence about what the author believes about that topic. Okay, so let me give you an example. So we're gonna try to be kind, because remember, and that could be one of the subjects, because ultimately the story is also talking about kindness, right? Like how you should be kind to other people.
Mm-hmm.
And clearly, you know, the stepmother and the stepsisters were not. So I have here the author believes that it is important to show kindness no matter what. Okay.
Yeah.
So the trick is we're going to take out the phrase the author believes that, and we're going to revise the sentence as needed, checking to make sure the sentence is not too vague. And then voila, okay, we actually have a theme of it is important to show kindness no matter what. So I took that one subject, which was just kind, and then I turned it into a theme by stating what the author believes first. We're going to do a little bit of practice, okay? So this hopefully will make a little bit more sense. So the first thing we talked about was love, right? We said that was a subject. So what do you think that the author of Cinderella believes about love?
The author believes that love is not about how you look from the outside. It's how you are from the inside.
Wonderful.
How you
That's
are on the
perfect.
inside. Do you mean the inside? You wrote
Oh,
outside.
sorry. Thank you. Thank you very much. All right. Yes. Okay. So now what we're going to do is we're going to cross out the author believes that. So we'll take that out, and then we'll simply just have what we have left over, which will be love is not about how you look on the outside, but how you are on the inside. So that's a theme. You see how we just went from a subject of love, and we now have a whole theme of love is not about how you look on the outside, but how you are on the inside. So that means that's one theme of Cinderella, as opposed to just saying love. Love is the subject, but if you expand on the subject of love and go into what the author believes, you get your whole theme. Okay. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's try another one. Dreams. We forgot to add dreams as a subject, but Cinderella had a dream, right? She had a dream of actually like, I want to go to this ball, like I want to meet my Prince Charming, and of course people tried to tell her it was never going to happen, and you know she was ugly and she was this, and so she had a dream. So what do you think the author believes about dreams as it relates to Cinderella?
Um, author believes. Um, wait. It was there. It was there. Hold on.
That's okay.
Um, never think that your dream. No, don't write this yet. But
Okay. I'll wait.
never think that your dreams are too big to be impossible.
I like that. So never think that your dreams are, you said, are too big.
Yeah.
Okay, that's perfect. So then we would take out the author believes that, because then we're going to cross that out. And then we're just going to have our theme of never think that your dreams are too big. So we went from having a subject dreams to now never think that your dreams are too big. That is one of the themes that the author wants you to walk away knowing that, hey, like her dreams, she thought her dreams were too big. Well, other people thought her dreams were too big, but Cinderella never thought her dreams were too big. So after you read Cinderella, hopefully you'll walk away feeling like, you know what? If she had a dream and her dream came true, then my dream can come true as well. Okay. Now, forgiveness is another subject, because and I hadn't thought about it until somebody from the last time I did this lesson was like, well, you know, Cinderella really had to forgive her family, or her step family, for how they treated her. So what do you think the author believes about forgiveness as it relates to Cinderella?
Author believes that.
And if you don't like forgiveness, we can choose one of the other subjects that we talked about.
No, forgiveness is good.
Okay.
Um, have a happy life. Um, to have a happy future, you need to forgive and move on. I mean, that sounds.
Okay. No, it sounds great. I believe that in order to have a happy future, you forgive and move on. All right, I like it. So remember, we take out the author believes that, and then we just have left in order to have a happy future. You need to forgive and move on. So we took our subject of forgiveness, which was just a topic of Cinderella, and then we have in order to have a happy future, you need to forgive and move on. So after you finish reading Cinderella, hopefully that's one of the things that you will walk away with. Now, just like you're finding all these different things. We talked about love, dreams, forgiveness, hate, things like that. Somebody else could walk away and have a completely different theme because remember, as I stated before, theme a piece of work has more than one theme. So these are just a few. Um, like I said, forgiveness was something I never really thought about, and somebody else brought it to my attention. So I was like, oh, that's a good one. So, do you have any questions? It's a pretty short lesson, but I just kind of wanted it to be short for a reason because I didn't want to give you too much. I just feel like it's a really simple trick to help you when you're trying to find a theme. So do you have any questions about anything you're doing in class now as it relates to theme or anything about that we talked about just now?
Well, I don't have any questions about the lesson.
Mhm.
Right now in my course, I'm up to the novel where I have to write a novel about um, something that I failed at and then I learned from my mistake.
Okay.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
So you said it's the question that asks, was it about the time that you failed? Is that what it was? Or
Yeah,
right, and you have to write
essay.
an essay. Yes.
Yeah, I've been trying to think of an idea for a while, but I don't think there's something. Does it have to be something that like catches the reader's attention?
Well, not necessarily. I mean, how you write it should catch the reader's attention, but what you're actually talking about, you don't have to. I don't want you to feel like you have to make up something in order for it to catch the reader's attention. It doesn't have to be something that's so. Oh my goodness, this is just something that like I would never think of. What were you thinking?
Well, I never really. Well, I sometimes what I do is the once I didn't fail a test, but I got a not so good grade, and then I just learned from my mistakes and redid it. But that's not big.
Well, so think about that because that is something that's true. It was a time that you failed, okay? And so you can take that, but how you write about it is what is going to bring the reader in. So you can start off like your introduction with, maybe taking us back to the moment where you actually like got your grade on that test, and maybe how you felt when you got it, and you told yourself you were going to make sure you study harder, and then you can kind of go into all of the details. So it's not so much the subject because the subject doesn't have to be super exciting, but it's about how you write the story. Does that make sense?
Mm,
No, not really.
it does make sense. It's just I don't know how to start it. That's
Okay, so through the course, remember they talked about like introductions. Do you remember anything they kind of like that was suggested when you were studying on how you should begin an introduction?
I don't remember.
You know, okay, so how are you thinking that you wanted to start it?
Um, once upon a time.
Once upon a time. Okay, so you were gonna say once upon a time, and then what were we gonna do?
Or once on a rainy dark day I was studying.
Okay, so you can do that. Um, so do you want to start from the moment when you actually got the bad grade? You want to start from the moment when you were like, where do you want to start with this?
I think to make it more more suspenseful or just
Mhm.
like the movies. I think I should start prepare when I'm preparing for the test.
Mm-hmm.
I get the results. I'm like in a shock mode, and yeah.
Okay. So you can, you know what, you know how sometimes like if you watch a movie, how it starts from like the end and then it works its way like backwards. You could like
Oh,
kind of start off from like when you actually got your grade. Like, and it could be something, like I'll never forget, how I felt the moment I saw that F on the paper or something like that, right? I don't know what grade you got, but I'm just kind of just saying that.
mhm.
It was it was a moment in my life where I felt like, oh, I just didn't, like I felt like I was totally defeated. Like you see how I'm kind of starting from the end and I'm grabbing the reader's attention because now the reader is like, well, wait a minute, like what happened or what's going on? Or, like you kind of start there and then work your way back to the process of studying and doing this and how you felt when you failed. So that's one thought.
Like,
Um, Go ahead.
I like that because I watched this show. I don't know what it's called. I forgot. But it's like they start when after the murder happened and they try to figure out who did it, what happened.
Right, right. And sometimes that's a really good way because it draws the reader in. Like you watch a movie or a show, and then you kind of because you don't even have to say the F. You could say like, I'll never forget how I felt in that moment when I failed. And then everybody's like, well, wait a minute, like how did she feel? Like what happened? And then you can kind of keep going without really telling us. And then as you're talking in your story, you kind of start giving us like all the pieces until we finally understand that you felt something and this is how you felt when you failed, so you kind of like bringing us into the moment. So that's one suggestion. I think that would be a good way to start.
Yeah.
So
Um,
was that helpful? Hopefully that was helpful a little bit.
that was really helpful because now I know that how to start it.
Yeah, and like so you see how what I was saying, it's not necessarily what you're writing about, it's how you write it.
Mm-hmm.
You took something that was to you just kind of like, oh, this is boring, and it's not really that exciting, but it's how you, that's what writing is all about. Like a lot of stuff we read about is not very, let's think about even Cinderella. Like, okay, so somebody has a family that's mean to her and she has a dream. Like that's really kind of boring if you think about it. But
Yeah.
the writer kind of took it and made it such where it's like, oh, okay, so now it's, it became like a classic fairy tale, because it was about how it was written, not necessarily the subject. So you can feel free to email me or chat message me, if you need any additional help. I'll be more than willing to help you.